While Latin American leaders may not have said so publicly, most all along had been rooting for Joe Biden.
He begins from a concept which is very crucial to Latin Americans, is that instead of putting walls or building walls, you have to work for development in an ambience of cooperation and support.
But there's an exception. Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro, who's often described as the tropical Trump. Biden's recent comments about deforestation of the Amazon rainforest outraged Bolsonaro, who said publicly he was cheering for Donald Trump. Venezuela's embattled president, Nicolás Maduro, on the other hand, is hoping Biden will consider reversing crippling U.S. economic sanctions.
A new consciousness is rising in the United States of America, in its youth, in its people. They no longer want imperialist wars. They no longer want threats and looting.
Sources tell Al Jazeera that Biden's regional aides are rethinking continued support for Venezuela's opposition leader Juan Guaidó as interim president, reportedly described by one aide as a, quote, lost cause. Joe Biden has visited Latin America 26 times, so he's certainly no stranger to this region. For starters, he's promised $14 billion to Central American countries to reduce poverty and violence as a way of tackling the immigration crisis, a very different approach from Donald Trump's. Meanwhile, many are commenting just how Latin American President Trump's electoral challenges are sounding.
Latin America has had all sorts of strong men who decided that they would stay in power forever or would change the results of elections because they wanted.
Latin America is unlikely to become a top priority for the next U.S. administration, with perhaps the exception of the immigration issue. But after 4 years of being largely ignored, there's the expectation that it will again be on the radar. Lucia, Newman, Al Jazeera, Santiago.
Let's bring in Doug Bando. He is a senior fellow at Cato Institute and a former advisor to late President Ronald Reagan. He joins us from Springfield, Virginia. Thank you for your time, sir. This is huge for foreign policy, right? As the Quincy Institute has been tweeting, there's probably a bunch of world leaders on conference calls right now trying to figure out their next moves.
Oh, I think that's right. This is a dramatic change in administrations, both in substance, but especially in tone. And a number of countries will be looking forward to a better relationship with the U.S. And some of them, such as Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia and others who were favorites of President Trump, will be looking very nervously at the prospect of dealing with a more, shall we say, cautious and perhaps antagonistic United States.
Let's dig down on that. U.S.-Saudi relations have been close under President Trump. Even the killing of Jamal Khashoggi was put to one side. How might a Biden administration impact U.S.-Saudi relations and the GCC in general?
Well, the president-elect has made it very clear that he's not happy with the conduct of Mohammed bin Salman. He's not happy with the horrid war in Yemen. I think that relationship is very likely to change, especially because support for Saudi Arabia essentially, diminished very significantly on Capitol Hill. So Democrats there and some Republicans want to change with the president. That will be very significant. Now, other GCC countries, I think the relationship will remain strong. Kuwait, Oman, countries such as these, I think the Biden administration will be very happy to continue to work with. Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, especially because of the war in Yemen, will be at risk.
Okay, if we're to look to Israel then and Netanyahu, how do you think things might change there under a Biden administration?
Well, Biden is part of the Democratic wing that is still very strongly supportive of Israel. On the other hand, he's not so committed to Netanyahu and the settler movement, the kind of radical extremism that we've seen there. Moreover, there are a lot of Democrats, especially in the House, who would like to see a rebalancing. So my guess is that Biden will remain very supportive of Israel, broadly speaking, but is probably going to push the Netanyahu government, especially on the issue of the West Bank, of settlers, of Palestinians, he's going to urge a greater effort to reach a serious peace agreement with the Palestinians as opposed to the Trump administration, which basically made all of its efforts on behalf of Netanyahu's government and no one else.
If we look at treaties and international organizations that Trump has distanced himself from or even outright rejected, what changes do you think we're going to see there? I'm thinking climate accords, the World Health Organization, weapons treaties, that sort of thing.
Well, almost all of the international engagements, the Biden administration will be much more supportive. The president-elect said that on day one he would return to the climate change treaty. I think the International Criminal Court would be something he would look at. He'd certainly want to reinitiate the START treaty with Russia. This is somebody who would like to reinvigorate American involvement with the United Nations. This will be one of the areas of greatest change with a Biden administration.
Just finally, let's talk Russia, obviously. How do you think things are going to change the relationship with Vladimir Putin?
Rhetorically, President-elect Biden will be tougher than President Trump. In practice, I'm not sure there will be a lot of difference. In fact, the Trump administration, despite the president, has been much rougher on Russia. It's had greater weapons transfers to Ukraine, more U.S. troops to Europe, put more sanctions on Russia. I'm not sure that will change, but Biden will be more forthrightly antagonistic towards Russia. But he might be willing to make a deal. Perhaps they can sit down and have a tough talk, as opposed to Trump, where he said nice things, but his administration went the other way.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, Doug Bando there, Senior Fellow at Cato Institute and former advisor to late President Ronald Reagan.